Good morning and welcome to Breathing for Life. This morning I am joined by Vesco, who's going to tell us all about something I know nothing about, which is called Systema. Also, the fan on my Mac has decided to join us this morning, so I apologise in advance for any weird noises coming from my laptop. Good morning, Vesco.
Good morning, Susie.
How are you doing this morning?
A bit nervous. I haven't done this in a while, so...
There's no need to be nervous. You're in the safety of your own home. So how did you get into Systema?
Okay, funnily enough, it was actually a local to me, kind of an Irish friend of mine. He kind of about 12 years ago showed me a video of it. And again, maybe it's important to know that I'm Bulgarian. Mm-hmm. So I'm from one of those Slavic cultures, and I've lived in Ireland for the last over 25 years. So when he kind of mentioned it to me, I was kind of saying, oh, it's like it's a kind of a Russian thing. So I should know about it. I would know about it. Mm. So I actually didn't believe it existed for maybe about 18 months. I was kind of saying, oh, it's just one of those kind of invented things, some kind of a mythical legend thing.
Yeah.
And but as I kind of stayed with it, I started kind of little by little researching it, and I realized it's based on kind of the old kind of a Slavic spiritual system, which is known as spas. Spas literally means to save yourself. Okay. So it's actually very similar to, let's say, Christ the Savior. The kind of different, the Slavic tradition is a pagan tradition or pre-Christian tradition, but it's kind of the same idea. And saving yourself means to find a way to evolve. In that sense, you're saving yourself. You're saving yourself from, not so much from the indulgence of the world, but you're finding a way to retreat a little bit from the world and take control of your own energy and then evolve and eventually ascend, something along those lines.
So it's a whole kind of, it's a belief system integrated with a breathwork system. Is there movement in this as well?
Okay. Yeah, so it's a kind of a whole spiritual system, and then Systema is the martial arts side of it.
Okay.
And even let's say the main practitioners, the main masters, they basically say it's more like a culture of movement rather than martial arts system. It just happens that it has martial applications. Because even initially when I was it's mostly practiced these days in the former USSR, let's say Russia, Belarus, Ukraine. It's most popular there. In the old days, it existed in the old Slavic countries, maybe in Ireland. Because when I read some of the Irish fairy tales, especially the Cuchulainn stuff, I'm when I read some of his stuff, I'm saying, okay, he knew this. He was practicing this kind of stuff. Yeah. And so when I was checking with one of my Russian friends, and she was kind of saying, oh, I don't know what you're talking. And then eventually she said, oh, this is what old men used to do outside my village. And I was kind of saying, what do you mean by old men? So as I kept practicing it, I realized it's a kind of a system which can be practiced from a toddler stage to kind of a really very advanced stage. And something that kind of surprised me, because let's say, again, one of these guys was always into martial arts, and judo was my main sport for when I was kind of more active when I was a bit younger. Yeah. So again, with all these people who spend 10, 20 years going to competitions, all this, there's all sorts of injuries, and when you hit kind of 40s, I'm 52 now, so when you kind of hit kind of mid 40s and all this, and you kind of start, you can't walk, you can't do stuff, and I realized that Systema was actually helping me recover. And later, as I got more into it, again, what I was hearing this from instructors that would have schools for 10, 20 years, they're saying that the biggest contingent, the biggest kind of a portion of their students is usually ex-martial arts guys, ex-boxers, ex-kind of a professional sports people, who again, a bit like me, heard about it, came, and they were kind of saying, oh, this is complete BS. Yeah. Decided to take a class, decided to take a second class, decided to take a third class. Next thing, they started healing from their old injuries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
So
even for me, I was sorry. Is it okay to continue?
yeah, go continue ahead.
Even for me, this was kind of because I was entering some. This is maybe about 12, 11 years ago, 10 years, around that. I was getting this kind of swellings of my lymph nodes, which I was kind of, I was doing all the medical stuff. They couldn't discover anything. But it was reaching a stage where it was kind of some mornings I wake up and I can't walk. It'd be so painful. And I was kind of saying, okay, this is something that, with age, it's probably going to get worse. And, it's just one of those things that happens in life.
Yeah.
But when I started getting into Systema and, and reading a bit, and again, with a lot of suspicion, with a lot of disbelief, totally kind of being skeptical about it. And, but still, I was like, well, let me try this today. Let me try this tomorrow. Eventually, I found out that it was helping me. And it was it was a January kind of a night. I had just gotten one of the books, let's say one of the Bibles of Systema is called Let Every Breath. It's a book by one of the main masters. And, there's an exercise where you go walking. It's basically like you're walking and you're coordinating walking and breathing. And I kind of, at the time, if I could walk half a kilometer, I would be happy. This was, but I went for maybe about 10, 11, 12 kilometers, something around 10 kilometers, let's say. And I couldn't get tired.
Oh, wow.
Kept pushing myself. Again, it was in the middle of the night. It was 1 a.m. or something like this. So it was kind of dark. There was nobody on the road. Okay. It wasn't COVID restrictions and all this, but
you were inside your 5K.
Yeah, but so this was kind of, and then of course the next day, whatever, went to bed, came up the next morning again, went out. I just kind of kept breathing, kept walking again. Same thing. I kept finding that I wasn't getting tired, and I was forgetting that pain that I had for the previous 6-7 years, and this is when I was sold. This is when I was kind of saying, okay, this is something I have to really explore. And then I started. Well, at the time there was only one instructor in Dublin, so I live in Cork, so we used to kind of with one of my best friends, we kind of fill up a whole car for 4 or 5 guys, and we go kind of almost every Saturday or every second Saturday to Dublin. We start at 5 a.m. in the morning. We go do full training, come back. Usually one is barely driving, the others are asleep in the car, wrecked from training all day.
Yeah.
So this is how I got into it. And, after a few years, I got some experience myself, so I could lead a group. And we've had kind of a practice group in Cork, very small practice group.
Yeah.
Which kind of, it's been going until last March.
Okay. And so with this, is it like you're focusing on breathing, or are you doing movement at the same time? For the people who are watching, do they need to clear a space around them, or do they need to lie in a bed? What do they need to do?
Well, for now, is it okay? I'll just say that basically breathing is one of the 4 principles of this system. Because breath is the first one, then it's relaxation, then it's good posture, and then it's movement.
Yeah.
So, okay, there are kind of non-moving exercises. We don't have to move. We're going to start with one of these, and but generally the main benefit of the Systema type of breathing, and the whole Systema means the system. So the system of Systema.
But it does on the tin.
Sorry.
It says what it does on the tin.
Yeah. So it's dynamic. It's all about movement. It really helps in life, let's say, because the way I use it, I was just thinking, even examples before this call started, because let's say last week, I was surprised myself, but I think I had my first kind of a proper panic attack in my whole life.
Oh God!
Purely because I was it was 3 kind of, let's say, days in a row, 3 nights in a row. I was doing one of those webinars, one courses. It was American based, so it was all 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. So it was purely kind of a messing up my circadian rhythm and ending up eating more frozen pizzas and stuff like this. And something happened for me, like for about 10 minutes or something, kind of, and having no contact. Living on my own, and And I think for about 10 minutes, I sort of kind of lost it. It was some kind of a panic attack. And then I went to, let's say, what is called burst breathing. This is kind of one of the techniques where if you go into, again, in my case, it was kind of more like a psychological thing, but it's used for any kind of physical, let's say, injury or anything that may startle you or kind of put you into a kind of a stressed, panicky mode.
Yeah.
And it's something like you go into like a, and you're, that's why it's kind of you go into a fast breathing, which oxygenates the body. And also kind of allows the tension to be released.
Yeah.
The immediate tension. And let's say that immediately, well, not immediately, it takes a bit of work, but within 5 minutes I was able to recover, and I was saying, okay, I'm back to normal. I know exactly what happened. I mean, I know what happened because that's my area. I've been studying my body and my psyche for decades.
Yeah.
And but let's say that's how I was using it immediately in my everyday life.
Yeah.
I was able to kind of help myself.
And it brings you so many benefits. So I think we're probably going to go over and start the demo now. So if anybody hasn't already subscribed to the Facebook page, the box should be there with instructions on how to do that. And we're going to go over to the live and start the demo now.
So it just comes back to me, is it?
Yeah, we're on you now. So whenever you're ready, start the demo.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was actually okay. Kind of my suggestion, and I'd like to invite people to start with again a little, let's say, static exercise, which a lot of people may be familiar with. Usually, it's done in yoga classes. Though in the context of Systema, we use it to wake up in the morning. And it's basically the moment you wake up, you don't move, you kind of stay in bed, and you begin to imagine the breath. Let's say you imagine you inhaling, for example, you're inhaling through the soles of the feet, through kind of, to the lower parts of the legs, through the legs, to the pelvis, to the whole body, up to the head. That's one inhale. And on the exhale, you exhale in the reverse direction. So, again, most likely people are kind of sitting in chairs. So you can actually do this, let's do it for the next 3-4 minutes, which will help us to connect with the bodies, to connect a little bit with the breath, and then we can proceed with the following exercises, if that's okay. Does it sound okay to you, Susie?
Yep, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just for everybody, make sure you're sitting in a comfortable position, back is